Welcome to ESL Listening Practice. I'm so glad you're joining us today. Have you ever noticed that when you were a child, time just felt so much slower?
Oh, definitely. Like a single summer when you were 10 years old felt like an entire lifetime.
Exactly. But then your last year as an adult probably seemed to pass in the blink of an eye.
I mean, think about it. When you were a kid, waiting for your birthday felt like an agonizing eternity.
The days just stretched out endlessly. You'd think your birthday was never going to arrive.
Right. But now, you celebrate New Year's Eve, you put away the holiday decorations, you blink, and suddenly...
You're pulling those exact same decorations out of the closet again.
Yeah, it's already December. It's crazy.
It really is. So why does this happen? Today, we're going to share our personal research and findings to answer that exact question.
And our goal today is actually twofold. First, we want to share the really fascinating reasons why our brains experience time differently as we age.
And second, we want to help you, our listener, learn some excellent intermediate English vocabulary along the way.
Exactly. Since you are listening to ESL Listening Practice, we are going to use clear, simple English.
And if we hit any complicated words, we will stop and explain them, right?
Right. We want you to improve your listening skills without feeling, overwhelmed.
So let's jump straight into it. The first major finding from our research comes down to how the brain handles new experiences versus routine.
This is such a cool concept. When we are young, the brain is incredibly active.
Yeah, it's just constantly learning and discovering the world. Everything is a brand new experience.
But as adults, we rely heavily on routine. And actually, let's stop and isolate that word for a second. Routine.
That is a perfect word to focus on. How would you explain routine to an intermediate English learner?
Well, a routine is basically a daily habit that repeats again and again.
Like waking up at the exact same time every morning?
Exactly. Having the same job, following the same schedule, visiting the same places.
I mean, adults love routines. They make life easier.
They do, but here's the problem with routines. When your days are too similar, the brain doesn't bother creating new memories.
Wait, really? It just stops making memories.
Yeah, pretty much. The brain is trying to save energy. If you do the exact same thing every Tuesday, the brain says, I already know what happens on Tuesday. I don't need to record this.
Wow. So fewer memories make time feel like it passed very quickly.
That's the core mechanic. Let's use a simple analogy. Think about driving to a new city for the very first time.
Oh, I know this feeling. The drive feels very, very long.
Right, but why does it feel long?
Because you were looking at new trees, new buildings, and new street signs. Your brain is taking in all this new information.
Exactly. But what about driving to work, a route you have taken 100 times?
Oh, you don't even remember the drive. You pull into the parking lot and think, how did I even get here?
Yes. Your routine deleted the memory of the drive. Your brain basically used a shortcut.
So because there is no memory of the drive, it feels like it took zero time. But let me ask you this. Is it really just about memories? Or does the brain actually change how it works in the moment?
That is a brilliant question. Memories are really just the beginning. It actually comes down to how the brain processes reality versus feeling.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. Let's dig into that.
So the brain helps us understand time, right? But it doesn't measure time like a mechanical clock ticking on a wall.
Right, because a real clock always moves at the exact same speed. 1 second is always 1 second.
But our brains don't work like that. For humans, time is about perception. Perception means how you understand or feel something.
So it's not necessarily what is actually happening in the real world. It is just how your brain feels about what is happening.
Precisely. We need to contrast perception with reality. When it comes to the human brain, time is almost entirely about perception.
So how does our attention change our perception of time?
Well, when we are very busy or distracted by something fun, our perception is that time is moving incredibly fast.
Because we aren't paying attention to the clock.
Exactly. Let's use a clear, everyday example to practice this vocabulary. Think about watching an exciting action movie.
Oh, yeah. There are car chases, explosions, maybe a great story.
Right. Your brain is totally distracted by the movie, so your perception is that the movie was very short. You look at your watch and say, wow, 2 hours passed already.
But then let's think about the opposite. What happens when we are bored?
Oh, boredom completely changes our perception. Think about waiting in a long line at the grocery store.
That is the worst. You are just standing there holding a basket, doing nothing.
Exactly. You are not distracted, so your brain has nothing to do except pay attention to time.
You literally count the seconds.
Yes. And because you are paying so much attention to the passing time, your perception is that time is moving painfully slow. A 5-minute wait feels like an hour.
That makes perfect sense. So next time you are bored, you should ask yourself in English, is time actually slow, or is my perception just changing?
I love that. It's a great way for our listeners to practice thinking in English during their day.
Yeah. But, perception isn't just about what we are doing right in the moment, like watching a movie or waiting in line.
No, it's not.
It is also about the bigger picture, like how many years we have been alive.
Yes, and this brings us to the mathematical side of our research. Time feels different because as we get older, our life is simply longer.
Okay, we're going to have to explain this carefully. What do you mean by that?
Basically, time is relative.
Oh, relative. That is our third vocabulary word for today. This is a very useful word for intermediate learners.
It really is. Relative means compared to something else.
Can you give an example of how to use it in daily conversation?
Sure. If I say a 50-pound box is heavy, that is relative. It is heavy compared to a book, but it is light compared to a car.
I see. So the weight is relative to whoever's trying to lift it.
Exactly. And time is relative to your age. Let's break down the math using some very simple English fractions.
Let's do it.
Imagine you are 10 years old. 1 year from your 10th birthday to your 11th birthday is a huge part of your life.
Right, because 1 year is 10% of your entire life.
Exactly. 10% is a massive fraction. So when you are 10, a year feels huge because compared to your whole life, it is huge.
But then let's think about an adult. What happens when you are 40 years old?
Well, when you are 40, one single year is a much smaller fraction of your life.
It's just 2.5%, right?
Exactly. It is a tiny slice of the pie.
So because 1 year is smaller compared to my whole life, my brain just kind of ignores it.
Yes, that is exactly what our research shows. Our brain measures the present against the heavy weight of our past.
So every new year you live just feels a little bit smaller than the year before.
Because your life keeps getting longer. Your baseline is always growing.
Wow. But, age brings a lot more than just years.
What do you mean?
Well, getting older brings a ton of responsibilities, and that completely changes what we focus on every single day.
Oh, you are absolutely right. And that takes us to another really fascinating observation from our studies.
Which is that children are masters of the present moment, while adults live mostly in the future.
Yes, let's make sure we define present moment for our listeners.
Okay, the present moment simply means right now, this exact second. Not yesterday and not tomorrow.
Right. And children are amazing at living in the present moment. They enjoy small things.
They really do. They pay attention to little details, like a strange bug on the sidewalk.
Or the shape of a cloud in the sky. Or the texture of a carpet. They are fully absorbed in what is happening right now.
But adults rarely look at details like that.
No, we don't. Adults are almost always thinking about work, paying bills, and future plans.
And that introduces our next big vocabulary word, stress.
Yes. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension. It comes from any event or thought that makes you feel frustrated, angry, or nervous.
And as adults, our responsibilities cause a lot of stress.
They do. And here is the psychological conclusion from our findings. Stress forces your brain to constantly think about the future.
Right, because if you are stressed about a project at work, you aren't looking at the clouds, you are thinking about tomorrow's meeting.
Exactly. And when you don't pay attention to the present moment, time slips away. It seems to pass very quickly.
Let me use a reading analogy to explain this to our learners. Have you ever read a book, but you start thinking about what to cook for dinner?
Oh, all the time.
Right. So your eyes are looking at the words, but your brain is thinking about dinner. You finish the page, and you don't remember a single word.
You have to go back and read the whole page again.
Exactly, because you weren't mentally in the present moment. Well, adults do this with their entire days.
That is such a powerful analogy. We physically commute to work, but mentally, we are already at the office worrying.
So our brain doesn't record the commute. We essentially leave the pages of our lives blank.
I mean, honestly, that sounds a bit sad.
It is a little sad, just sleepwalking through life.
But the really good news from our research is that we actually have the power to change it.
Yes. We don't just have to accept this. We can actually change this feeling and slow down our perception of time.
And this is where we get to share the practical applications of everything we've talked about today.
I love this part. How can our listeners take control of their time?
We have some simple, clear steps using foundational English verbs. The first step is try to do new things.
Do new things. Got it.
The second step is learn new skills.
Like learning a new language, which our listeners are actively doing right now.
Exactly. Practicing English with this show is a perfect way to stretch your brain. The third step is travel or change your routine.
Let me stop you there and ask for some clarification. Does travel mean I have to buy an expensive plane ticket and fly to a new country?
Oh, no, not at all. We are talking about breaking the routine we defined in part 1.
So it can be something very small.
Yes, it can be as simple as taking a different bus route to work or trying a completely new coffee shop.
Just giving your brain new information to look at.
Exactly, because here is the underlying mechanism. When your brain experiences something new, it wakes up.
The brain has to pay attention again.
Right, and when the brain starts paying attention, time suddenly feels much richer and slower.
What was the final step you mentioned?
The final step is to be more present.
Be more present. So actively noticing the world around you.
Yes, pay attention to the physical feelings of right now. The taste of your food, the feeling of the sun on your skin.
Act more like a child, basically. Look at the bugs on the sidewalk.
Exactly. Stop letting stress push you into tomorrow.
I mean, this is such a helpful way to look at life. Let's do a quick, clear review of the main vocabulary and concepts for everyone listening today.
That sounds great. So to summarize, time doesn't actually move faster as we age.
Right. The problem is that our routine stops us from making new memories.
And our perception plays tricks on us, depending on where our attention is.
Also, time is relative to our age. 1 year feels smaller when you have lived many years.
And finally, because of adult stress, we stop paying attention to the present moment.
All of that leads to the ultimate secret uncovered in our research today.
Oh, let's share the secret.
The secret is simply this. The more you notice life, the longer it feels.
Wow. The more you notice life, the longer it feels. That is beautiful.
It really is. It puts the control right back in our hands.
It does.
So, we want to leave you, our listener, with a final question to practice your English thinking today.
Think about this question as you go about your routine.
What is one small detail you can notice on your way to work or school today to make your day feel just a little bit longer?
Look for something you usually ignore. A tree, a building, a sound.
Just try to notice it. Wake your brain up. Well, that is all for today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening. We hope this conversation was helpful for your English learning journey.
Keep practicing your English listening skills and remember to enjoy the present moment. Goodbye.